Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are well and I hope you guys are staying safe. So if I sound a little bit tired, that's because I just had the best week ever in Kenya. YouTube flew me to Kenya. However, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this gorgeous dress that I'm wearing. And if that sounds like something that you want to see, definitely keep watching. You'll need the following items. You need your scissors, a pair of snips, you need invisible zipper, you need your tailor's chalk, you need your measuring tape, some pins, and of course the fabric. I'm using this gorgeous Ankara fabric. It's a bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm sure that you guys will love the result as much as I did. Anyway, and also the theme for the outfit is Afro Festive Chic. To start off, go ahead and cut out 4 yards of your fabric, and obviously if you're used to sewing with Ankara, you know that Ankara is packed in 6 yards, so you only need to kind of find out like 4 and then divide it. But again, this is something that over time I've just learned, so basically just count out like 4 sheets and then just divide it where the 4th and the 5th one meet each other. But like I said, whichever way you prefer, go ahead and cut out your 4 yards so that you have 2 yards left and we have 4 yards that we're going to be working with for the bottom bit. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, and to all my OGs, thank you and welcome back. So after dividing the fabric, so you have 4 yards in one part and 2 yards in another part, you're going to get the 4 yards and then you're going to fold the 4 yards into 2. So you separate the 4 yards and then fold it into 2. You want to fold it into 2 so that the right sides are facing each other. And the reason for this is so that we can do our high-low design. So this is me folding the 4 yards here, and I'm going to start with the folded part or the center front, which is the part on fold. I'm going to measure where I want the shortest length to be from there, and then I'm going to go ahead and gradually increase the length with increments of 1 or 1.5 inches. So as you can see, I cut the short one first and I make sure it's straight, and then I go ahead and make it longer, like I said, with slight increments all the way to the end of the fabric, and then I kind of just cut it in a curve so you guys can see. It's a bit difficult to work because I was working with like a lot of fabric, so it was hard to show you guys, but don't worry, I'm gonna demonstrate it on a smaller piece of fabric in a little bit. So like I said, all you want to do is make sure you have them like, curved and it's not really straight. So I started from the bottom again, and at the bottom I made sure it was the longest length, and then I went ahead to kind of, just make sure I have a curve to meet the shortest length. So as you can see, it's not straight, it's just really curved. And the point is, like I said, I was going to show you again. So fold the fabric into 2. You have the shortest length, mark your shortest length and also mark your longest length. And you want to go ahead and mark a curve so that it goes ahead to meet the longest length. And that's how you have your high-low. That's the best way to do the high-low. Right, so this is what it will look like. But again, this is just a smaller piece of fabric just to demonstrate what I've just done on the larger piece of fabric. Now that that's been demonstrated, the next thing to do is to sew a gather stitch, but you want to go ahead and notch the middle first, which is always recommended. So notch the middle of the dress and then go ahead and hem the ends of the dress. Okay, so after notching the middle of the dress, go ahead and end the entire hem. Now because it's a really long dress, obviously hemming it took a little bit of time, so make sure you're relaxing while you're doing that. As you can see, I'm watching some young children while I'm sewing on my HD9 sewing machine by Janome. Again, this machine, you guys know how much I love it because you can control the speed. So at the top, it's on the slowest speed at the moment, but if I wanted to go faster, I can definitely control the speed. And as you can see, there's also a scissors button at the side, and that button, what it does is when you're done sewing, it literally just snips the thread as close to the end as possible. So it's really effective. So you see, I backstitch and I press the scissors button, and that's it, it's all gone. Right, so this is what it looks like after hemming the bottom, and now the next thing for us to do is to sew the gathers at the top. To sew the gathers at the top, make sure your top is notched. We already notched the top earlier, and then make sure your sewing machine is on the loosest setting. You go ahead and sew it. Now after sewing the gathers, this is what it looks like. So the next thing for us to do is to pull the gathers, but you want to locate the midpoint. So I've located the midpoint, and I'm going to go ahead and pull on the gather stitch that I have just made. So you want to pull gently. Now When I sew gathers, I only sew one stitch. However, a couple of you have told me, like in previous times, in previous videos, that it's safer to sew 2 stitches and then pull. And I absolutely agree, because if one of them breaks when you have only one stitch, it's very annoying. So go ahead and sew 2 stitches, 2 line of stitches, and then pull on both of them at the same time. What this does is that it gives you a backup in case one of them breaks, and then you can just continue. However, because I have a little bit of more experience, when it breaks, there's something I kind of do. But yeah, if you want to know about it, let me know in the comment section. Again, another shout out to you guys. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. It will mean a lot to me. And please make sure you share my channel as well. So as you can see, I'm just pulling the gathers from the side or from the edge up until the notch part. So when you start on one side, you pull it up until the notch part, and then you go ahead and start from the other side. After pulling the gathers, this is what it looks like. You want to make sure you pull the gathers to your waist measurement or even smaller, but then you also want to make sure that the edges, you have 1 inch that is flat. Now after pulling the gathers, this is what it looks like. Go ahead and grab the ends, and we're going to go ahead and pin the ends together, starting from the top up until the bottom. So you want to pin your way from the top up onto the bottom, which is why I said you wanted the ends to be straight by about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, because that's what the zipper will be. So after pinning the ends, which is the longest part, all the way from the top to the bottom, the next thing we're going to do is mark the zipper allowance. And why we're marking that is because that's the part that will be, that will remain unsewn. So you want to go ahead and mark, 7-8 inches, depending on how long you want your zipper to be. I think I went with 8 inches, and I went ahead to mark 8 inches there. And from that 8 inches point down, I went ahead to sew it. And after sewing, here's what it looks like. The next thing to do is to install your invisible zipper, and I did this without using any foot, and as you can see, this is really clean and nice. However, if you want a tutorial on this, let me know. I do have a tutorial, but if you want another tutorial or an updated tutorial, do let me know in the comment section below. After sorting out the zipper, the next thing to sort out is the straps that wrap around the body. Now, because the straps go around the body and you can tie it in different styles, you want to make sure that you make the straps about 80 inches long. Yes, each one of them will be about 80 inches long, and then you want to make sure each one of them is about 10 inches wide at least, right? I say 10 inches because you're going to hem the sides as well, so it will reduce. So if you're a bigger boob lady, you want to go for about 12 to 13 inches. However, I went for 10 inches standard, and as you can see, a little bit of my boob tape was sticking out. So in retrospect, I should have gone for about 12 or 13 inches. So yes, make sure that about 80 inches long, and if you need to join fabric to it, go ahead and do that. For me, I had to join, but like I said, in terms of the length, it has to be about 80 inches so that you can get the full effect of it, wrapping round or draping. And also you can go ahead and just make sure you keep the width as it should be. Now, after cutting out the fabric we need for the strips or for the straps or for the long belt, whatever, the next thing to do is to cut out the fabric for the band. And for this, you only need to make sure that the fabric for the band, you're going to be cutting out 2 separate pieces, so you don't want them on fold down. You want them 2 separate pieces, and you want to make sure that the length for each one is your waist measurement plus 2 inches. So your waist measurement plus 2 inches allowance, that's the length you want. And then in terms of the width or how wide it will be, you want to keep a width of about, I would say, about 3 inches or 4 inches, right, for each one, depending on what is comfortable for you. I went with 3 inches, I believe, because by the time I went with about 3 inches, because by the time I did 1/2 inch at the top and 1/2 inch at the bottom, that's what I was left with. So after making sure each band is the waist length plus 2 inches, and you've cut 2 pieces of them that are not more than 3 inches wide, go ahead and iron on the interfacing, which is what I have done now, and then go ahead and trim it. So I'm just trimming off any interfacing that is sticking out, and this just gives it a little bit of thickness, a little bit of weight to rely on. Now the next thing to do is to sew the ends as shown on 1/2 inch. So go ahead and sew the ends on 1/2 inch, and you also want to sew it in at the top. You want to sew it by about 4 inches at the top as shown. So as you can see, this is what it looks like after sewing. I went ahead to sew it about 4 inches at the top at each side. So basically what happens now is that you have a little gap in the middle, right? And this is where the straps will be going in, and you also have like the bottom unsewn. So the next thing to do is to notch the middle point. But here I made a mistake. I shouldn't have notched them equally. I should make sure on one edge, at one edge, half an inch was sticking out. So when you're doing that, when you fold yours, make sure you don't fold it equally. Fold it so that 1 inch is sticking out on 1 inch, and you will see the reason why. This is because when you want to add the hook and eye, you need one edge to stick out by 1 inch. So after notching it and finding the middle, again I went ahead to trim it just to make sure that I had, you know, a really smooth band, and this is what it looks like. Now that the band is done, you're gonna head to sew the sides, and you're gonna head to sew the top by about 4 inches. Grab your skirt and unzip the skirt. Make sure that the skirt band or the skirt waist is currently what you want, like, or the gathered part is what you want. And starting from the edge, you want to go ahead and pin the band on the inside. So turn the band to the right side as shown, and we're going to go ahead and pin it on the inside. So grab your pins and then go ahead and place it on the inside as shown, right? Cut off any excess zipper, and then you want to make sure you pin it to the edge of the zipper from the inside of the skirt, which is the wrong side of the skirt, right? So you pin it all the way. After that, you want to also spread your gathers. You also want to make sure that you find the notched area of the skirt and align the notch area of the skirts to the notch area of the band. So what I'm doing now is looking for the notched area of the skirt. Because it's so tightly gathered, it was like a pain to find it, but I eventually found the notched area of the skirt, and then I went ahead to look for the notched area of the band, making sure that it wasn't tangled. And as you can see, I had 1 inch sticking out on the right edge, and then I found that and I did that. And then on the last area, you also want to pin the other side of the band so that it is ending, you know, at the ending just before the 1 inch mark. So you can see it's sticking out by 1 inch as well. So I went ahead to pin this as well. Now after pinning all those points in place, the next thing to do is to spread out the gathers and then sew it in place, right? So you want to pin the first part exactly where the zipper starts. You want to pin the second part to where the notch is, and you want to pin the third part so that 1 inch is sticking out. Now after sewing the gathers to the band this way, here's what it looks like. And as you can see, the next thing to do is to finish off the band. But before we finish it off, if you notice, the band is open in the middle, and like I said, we're going to be inserting or slotting out the belt or the tie bit there. Now for your tie bit, if you've got enough fabric, you probably would not be joining. You probably just have it like straight, right? It's going to be length 80 inches and the width is going to be at least 10 inches or even about 13 inches depending on how wide. But I'm going to be joining, so go ahead and join, and make sure you're joining on the wrong side. So right sides facing each other, and then we have the wrong side. Now after joining and hemming, this is what it looks like. I went ahead to join it and I used a French tape, and I also went ahead to hem the sides, and this is what it looks like. The next thing for us to do is to insert this into the band. So I laid the strips on the table as shown, and then I go ahead and grab the skirt. Now when I grab the skirt, I position the skirt as it should be so that the zipper is against the table and the high waist part is facing me. Now the next thing to do is to insert your straps as it should be. So what I did for the strap is I found the right side of the band, and then I pinned the straps against the right side, so that the right side of the strap is facing the right strap of the band, and you kind of understand it as you're kind of position it. Now you also want to make sure that it overlaps at this point so that the straps are overlapping at the notch points. Now it's very important that when you start pinning your straps, you are pinning them to the notch point of the band, right? Remember that we notched the middle of the band. You are pinning them to the notch point of the band so that when you sew it, this is what it looks like. Okay. So after carefully pinning the straps, and as you can see, the right side of the strap was against the right side of the band, this is what it looks like. Now the next thing to do is to go from the inside of the band, and we're going to go ahead and sew all of that in place so that the straps are sandwiched in between, you know, the two sides of the bands, right? And this is what it will look like if you've done it properly. You have your straps sandwiched in between the two sides. And again, don't forget that the right side of the band of the strap is clean, meanwhile the wrong side of the band of the strap has the hem, right? So it's a bit confusing. I keep saying band, but you guys get what I mean. Now the next thing to do is for us to finish off the band for the skirt band, and as you can see, for that you can go ahead and, you know, fold in by half an inch and top stitch to finish off that part. So you want to go ahead, fold it in by half an inch, pin it in place, and we're going to do this all the way and top stitch it on the right side. After top stitching the band close, here's what it looks like. I went ahead to do the hook and eye, and as you can see, you always have like the hook on the part with the 1 inch extending, and you have the eye on the other side as well. It's a skirt hook and eye, and this is what it looks like. We also have the band and we have the whole skirt ready. Alright guys, so we come to the end of this video. I'm just going to quickly show you guys how to wear the skirt. And to wear the skirt, you want to grab your skirt. I'm using my dress form from Royal Dress Form. Amazing dress form, really good material. It's pinnable, and you guys are going to see that in a little bit because I pinned it. You can also pad it so that it can be your right measurement. At the moment, this dress form is just a tad smaller than I am, but it was very intentional getting this size. I think I got it in a size 12. Now you take the straps like so. You can have it, you know, straight if you want it, and you can also have it crisscross. Like I said, with the tie, you can tie it anyhow you want on the dress. However, for me, you know, you could tie them to one side, you could tie them cross. However, for me, I like to tie like altar. So after tying the altar, this is what it looks like. I went ahead to pin the dress onto the dress form because, like I said, I can pin it in place, and this is what the back looks like. So you can just tie it once and leave it and let it dangle. I know some people like that, or you can bring it and form like an X, which is what I did when I went for the YouTube event, and I just tie it to the side, and this is how I prefer to wear mine. As you can see, I'm also wearing my Royal Dress Form apron. Shout out to Royal Dress Form again. Amazing products. All right guys, we've come to the very end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was worth your while. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to subscribe, leave your comments, give it thumbs up, and make sure to share with all your folks that enjoy sewing videos. I promise that this channel is going to be worth your while.